Hello guys, welcome to the lecture over break statement. As mentioned, in C#, statements are executed in a top to bottom order by default. However, we can modify this default flow by control flow statements. For example, to execute a specific set of statements based on a condition, we use control flow statements like if or switch. On the other hand, if we need to repeat a set of statements multiple times, we can utilize control flow statements such as for each, while, and do while. Okay, there is another group of statements called jump statements that allows us to modify the default execution flow. In C#, jump statements like break, continue, return, and goto are used to transfer control from one statement to another statement in a program. In this lecture, we'll dive over break statement. This statement terminates the nearest loop or switch statement and transfers control to the next statement after the loop or switch. For example, here, the value of the day is 2, which matches the second case. Immediately after executing the statement inside the second case, the break statement terminates the switch block and the control is transferred to the statement immediately following the switch. In this example, inside the for each loop, there is an if statement that checks if the current number is equal to 4. If the condition is true, the break statement is executed and the loop is immediately terminated. During the first iteration, the current number is 1. So, the code block inside the if statement is skipped and this number is printed in the terminal. The same procedure is followed for the second and third iteration, where 2 and 3 are printed respectively. However, during the fourth iteration, when the current number is 4, the expression inside the if statement is evaluated to true. As a result, the program encounters the break statement, causing the for each loop to terminate immediately. This prevents the remaining numbers from being processed and printed in the terminal. Then, the program continues executing the statement following the loop, which in this case is the writeLine method. Alright, let's dive into VS Code and show you an example. Okay, in nested loops, the break statement terminates only the innermost loop. For example, this piece of code consists of a nested while and for loop. The while loop continues executing as long as its value is less than 4. Inside the outer loop, there is a nested for loop. In the inner loop, the inner variable is initially set to 0 and keeps executing as long as its value remains less than 5. Okay, let's run the application to see the result. Alright, during the first iteration, since the condition inner is greater than outer is false, it skips the if statement. After that, the value of inner, which is 0, followed by a space, is printed in the terminal. During the second iteration, the value of inner is 1. As a result, the condition becomes true, and the break statement is executed, causing the inner loop to terminate. After that, the outer ++ statement is executed, incrementing the value of outer to 1. During the second iteration of the outer loop, the value of outer is 1, and the inner loop begins again. Again, during the first iteration, since the condition inner is greater than outer is false, it skipped the if statement. Next, it prints the value of inner, which is 0, followed by a space. During the second iteration, since the value of inner is 1, the condition evaluates to false again. Then, the value of 1 is printed. However, in the third iteration, when the value of inner is 2, the condition evaluates to true, causing the break statement to execute. As a result, it terminates the inner loop. Following that, the outer ++ statement is executed again, incrementing the value of outer to 2. This pattern continues until the value of outer reaches 5 and the while condition becomes false. As you may have noticed, in the nested loop, the break statement only terminates the inner loop. Once the break statement is executed, the outer loop continues its iterations. Okay, done. See you soon in the next lecture.